Hey everyone, it's Spencer, your neighborhood friendly witch. You know, today in this Witchcraft 101, I just wanted to talk about how we need to be balanced. And I really do mean that. Because this morning, I woke up and I was just meditating on the current of chaos. What I mean by that is that I realized I came a long way. And what I mean by that is I was thinking about the adversary, this Satan, okay? And how I used to work with him directly back in the day. But you know what? I realized that though this adversary is a part of me and I am a part of him, he doesn't really leave us. He doesn't really leave me, myself. He's always there. After all, I have a tattoo of him on my left arm, representing the left-hand path. He just doesn't leave. In fact, most beings that we work with usually just stay one way or another. But yet this being taught me such a beautiful lesson as I was young, and it still is pertinent today. There's a connection. There's a parallel. Being balanced is so important, even to these spirit guides. Either it's a demonic you're working with, an angel, whatever have you, fairy, draconian, the list goes on, the Necronomicon. It just doesn't matter. They're there to guide you. It's not always going to be some, to hold your hand. Sometimes they want you to figure it out yourself. But the common denominator that I realize I'm working with all different types of pantheons is that, like Satan or the adversary, they want you to be balanced. For example, when I think about my younger days, I realized how in a very powerful lucid dream, the adversary came to me and he just told me, he is chaos. But he is also going to help me to control my chaos. I have to become chaos, but organize it. And being the fact that I was in my early 20s at that time, I didn't know much about the occult. I was just coming in. So the adversary in this lucid dream at that time turned into this big, huge red dragon. Many heads and everything. I guess he chose that form because I was freshly mint out of Christianity. I guess in my mind, the adversary is like in a book of Revelation of some sort, but I guess that was his way of connecting with me, saying, hey, look, this is who I am, because this is how you perceive me to be. Even though these beings could take any form. So anyway, big red dragon, many heads, the color red, and then in this lucid dream, I also turned into this big red dragon. To explain this esoteric event, how my mind processed things and how the adversary was communicating with me is that he's helping me to appreciate that him and I are the same. We are both angst. We both have this chaos. And as he breathed fire, I breathed fire. And he's teaching me how to do exactly what he is doing. So in other words, he is prophetically telling me what's going to happen for the next 5 to 7 years. He's going to be there to help me, to teach me, mentor me for the things to come. But it's just so interesting because now that I was able to look back at that, like as I said in the outset, it's been such a long time and I've learned so much. It's like I have better control over my emotions. I'm not in that age or that stage in my life where I'm just going to react. It's like my response, okay, different from reacting. My response is now more filtered. There's judgment, there's wisdom to it. And that's why I think that this video is very apropos to you, the listener. In other words, whatever pantheon you choose to work with, as it was said in other channels and other witches, occultists, whatever have you. The god, the demon, goddess that you work with chose you, or you chose them. They're a reflection of who you are. So I would take heed to listen. Otherwise, I know I would not have a YouTube channel. Because it was the adversary at that time, when I was mature enough, I knew enough in the occult. That's when he came to me about, a year and a half ago. Hey, I want you to do YouTube, what I've taught you through the span of 5 to 6 years. I want you to teach people what you know now. And here I am. So I'm doing what I can. I try to simplify things. I don't want to get into deep things. I just want to keep it simple. You see? But I'm still sharing what I've learned. But through that balance current. You see, you may work with the demonic, and everyone's experiences are different. So this is just my experience, since I spoke about the dream that I had when I was just a kid. It was demonic inspired, but it helped me. It was prophetic. I was able to understand what was about to happen and take place between the relationship, myself and the adversary. But you know what? Later on in years, I recall that the adversary put on the role of a trickster. And if you know a thing about trickster spirits, they tend to bring that chaos to you, but they're to teach you as well, like working with Loki. They will teach you that there's a thin line between, the realm where they come from and then the physical fiction and what reality says is true. And they make you walk that tightrope, and you're just walking it. And it's scary at first, but they're there to challenge you, to put you in that uncomfortable position, to make you see things their way. And when you see it their way, you'll have a laugh. And like me, you'll be crazy. What I mean by that is you'll see the strangeness, the craziness in what they see. That comedy and tragedy is both the same. They're the same. It's like they're on one coin, but on different sides. There's really no difference. There's a thin line between the two. It's like having that dark humor, putting you in that uncomfortable, position, and here you are, you're trying to do it, only bump your head on the wall, complain about it, and then you laughed afterwards. Because for some reason, pain that you just hit your head on the wall, you just end up finding out that things are just not what it appears to be. Your reality just ends up turning upside down, and then you start to get analytical out of it, and then you find the answer. I remember, besides the adversary, I worked with a Belial. I did a ritual at that point in my life, and I was in my early 20s, and Belial, oh my goodness, he's a wonderful being to work with, but my goodness, was he was very straightforward. He made sure that the thing I request, oh my goodness, did he give it to me. But it was quite the experience. Like, I've never ever thought in my life that I would literally have a being within me and take over my mind. I was myself, but I really wasn't at the same time. I was rocking back and forth. I was using all sorts of just processes of logic and how to understand the situation I was going through. Because the thing I asked for from Belial is to teach me the difference between the anima and the animus. You see, male or female. See, or the I-O, as certain esoteric philosophers would put it. Oh my goodness, did he do it? But he did it in a way where I'll never forget. Hence, I said that I rocked back and forth. I was muttering all sorts of processes of logic. That's my logical part of my mind trying to understand the supernatural. And no matter what conclusion I came up with, it just didn't work. And I was aware of this. All I can tell you is I was thinking about math. And mind you, I'm not the best when it comes to mathematics, but yet the most brilliant math was coming out of my mouth, the science and all this other stuff. And I don't even remember what I was saying. All I could tell you is that it was happening, and it was taking place like a day's time. And it was insane. Like, I remember the following day that I woke up with the biggest headache. Like, I never had a being within me control me, semi control me, and try to figure out the solution to what it is that I've requested. To only realize that when he was done with me, and I was basically disturbing my friends and family, because it was reported that I was naked in my underwear, and I put a bush, a thorn bush on fire. Kind of reminded me of the Bible, and I'm just singing to it. I'm rocking back and forth. I'm kneeling to it, and I don't remember any of that. But the end of the day, he taught me that one little lesson, the anima and the animus. I couldn't figure it out with the masculine part, but to only solve it with the feminine. And then he left me with the thoughts of, you're approaching things in a conventional manner. You have to think outside the box. That's what keeps human beings, mankind, still. I guess what he means by that is, if you remain in the physical realm and you're not willing to, move forward, and you're at a standstill, then your physical reality is all there is. You're not going to pay attention to the astral or the spirituality of things. So he's helping me to appreciate that you could be a mathematician, you could be a very intelligent person, but what does all that logic do for you if all it takes is to think outside the box? And like a domino effect, you touch one domino, then they all fall, and everything came clearer for me at the end of that day. I kid you not, that would have to be maybe the second time that I was semi-possessed. I call it semi-possessed because that feeling, that experience was, to me, was amazing. I really saw things through their eyes. I was a visitor in my own body, and they were taken over. That experience was fantastic. And I was able to understand that working with these beings, that there has to be a balance. You can't just stick with one thing. You can't just approach a ritual and go, the demonic must appear. Okay? This angel, Gabriel or whatever, must do this and that. You see, if you're going to stick to a blueprint, there's nothing wrong with it entirely. But as a male witch, I tend to approach things in a open-minded way. In other words, I allow the spirit to do what they please. Meaning, this is me explaining myself, is that if they want to come to me as a dream, cool. If they want the candle to flicker and, whatever have you, and I could go on and on, then that's also cool. I had cold hands touch me, laughter behind me, things move, strange coincidences, you name it. I am definitely aware of all these things. They could be, most likely and definitely, they are confirmations that they have heard you. And I was able to respond. But I realized that throughout the years, as I said, waking up today, April 8th, 2022, that it's been such a beautiful journey. I've enjoyed this balance, not sticking to one thing, thinking outside the box. So I wanted to share this video by helping you to better appreciate your own craft. That's why I say I like to keep things simple. It's not I myself trying to gain popularity in the sense of having a cult, even though as I see a cult, it's just a bunch of people sharing interests. But I'm also using it in a sarcastic, negative way too, meaning I don't want a following of people that just want to just have my word be law. That's not what the adversary told me back in the day. So I'm a reflection, I'm a product of that teaching. I'm just going to tell you, give you the information, and whatever path that you're on, well, if you want to include what I say to your craft and add upon it, then so be it. I'm not here to dictate anything to you, but I can only suggest, and I want you to be safe in your craft and in your magical skills and the beings in which you work with. Because the adversary at the time was fantastic. That chaos was beautiful. So now that I work with Hecate, I work with Lucifer, and I know people still can't tell the difference between Lucifer and the adversary, or aka Satan, all I can tell you is that working with Hecate and Lucifer has also been a beautiful experience. And mind you, the adversary is still around me. He's still a part of that unholy trinity, if you will. He's the one who taught me everything I know. But yet, they teach me balance in all things, your relationships, your money. If you keep that in mind, you will do well. Okay? So, I love every single one of you. Please be safe in your magical craft. Okay? And all I have to say by saying all these things to you is goodbye. See you next time.